Mark 7, um, and Matthew 15. There are basically two things of the same thing, two accounts of the same thing. But I'm going to be reading from Matthew 15. So Matthew 15 goes on like this. And it's about, the Pharisees are like, hey, your disciples are eating with unwashed hands. And so then they're defiling themselves by whatever they eat and whatever they touch and whatever. But then Yeshua concludes saying, it's not about, like, if you wash your hands or don't wash your hands, because that's not what it's about. Never addressing, saying, oh, you can eat unclean animals now. He never addresses anything about animals. Never says a zip about it. Never. And then even here, it's written that the Pharisees, which Christians are Pharisees, modern day Pharisees, because they're hypocrites. Right? You're told to don't eat the leaven, or beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees and Herod. But specifically of the Pharisees, the leaven of the Pharisees is hypocrisy. And so now starting in Matthew 15, verse 1. Then came Yeshua, scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. Nothing about animals. Nothing. Zilch. But he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? For God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother, which means to teach your children to keep the Ten Commandments, because you learn that in Ephesians 6 and Deuteronomy 6. Go read both of those chapters. You'll see it. If you don't see it, put a comment. And he that curseth father and mother, let him die the death. But ye say, whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, it is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, and honoureth not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition. Ye hypocrites, right? Calling them hypocrites. Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, this people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoureth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. So, by these traditions, they're like, and today you have Christians going with these Christmas trees and these Easter bunnies and whatever. Those are traditions of men that break the commandment of God. And he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand, not that which to goeth into the mouth defile a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, that this defileth a man. Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended? That word for offended, it means to stumble, if you check the Strong's Concordance. Right, so the Pharisees, they stumbled after they heard this saying. Right, and you have the entire Christian church, after they heard these sayings, the Christian church, they also stumble. They stumble at Yeshua's words. Where the Christians, they're hypocrites, modern day Pharisees, and they stumble at Yeshua's words. And you're even prophesied of this in Isaiah 8 and Isaiah 28. But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone, they be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. And you're told more about the blind people in Isaiah 56. Right, there are these dumb dog watchmen. They're blind, they're ignorant, they're loving to slumber, and they're also known as unjust stewards. And so when you get to the end of this parable, right, you're told by Yeshua, these are the things, right, actually I'll just continue reading. Then answered Peter and said unto them, declare unto us this parable. And Yeshua said, are ye also yet without understanding? Do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly, and is cast out into the draught? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands, not about unclean animals or anything, defileth not a man. So that's it. It's not about Yeshua didn't clean unclean animals, and you can see this again in Mark 7, because you still have to eat clean. You can't eat pork, you can't eat shellfish, you can't eat any of those things. Because if you do that, then you're going to get killed. Right? If you go read Isaiah 65 and 66, you'll see more about this. Because you're told, be holy for I am holy. Right? That's what Peter says. He's quoting Leviticus 11, verse 44. Because you're supposed to be holy, keep your vessel holy, and not eat unclean animals. But that's it. So, the Christian's church, they stumble at the words of Yeshua, especially even like after this. Because now they think, oh, we can eat anything we want now. When you can't. You must eat clean.